On this mini-sode, we want to pick up where we sort of left off yesterday. So if you missed that one, you might want to tune in. We told a little bit of behind the curtains story about an incident on an airplane where we weren't proud of our behavior. And we've worked hard to change that behavior, which was crap talking about other people and situations and events and actually all kinds of things. As we realized it, we had a crystallizing moment about, oh my gosh, we're judgmental, and we vocalized that a lot with others. And then as we started to examine that further, we realized we were bonding with others over this. And this was a very big, pervasive part of our life that was going to take more than just a few little habit structure changes.
So let's call this Sister Confession Session Part 2. Do you find yourself losing control of your scroll on social media?
If you do, then you want to stay tuned to join the Simply Social Club with Kay and I.
We've got an awesome challenge for you where you have the opportunity to detox from social media for 48 hours, 7 days, 14, or even 31 days right along Shyla and I.
So go to kayandshy.com/simplysocial and find out a little bit more, and hopefully you'll take a pledge alongside us. We'll see you in 2023.
See you in the club.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
So today we are taking part 2 of the Sister Confession Session, and we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday's episode, where we discussed some of those things that you can do to build better habits. And one of those things is to discover the root cause of the habit that's at play. So we looked at this airplane situation. We were so not proud of the behavior that was taking place, but it turns out that behavior was not isolated to the airplane. So where the habit was easy to change in that environment, it was rooted somewhere else.
Well, think about, you've probably been in a situation, and maybe you can reflect back to your high school days or college days. And if you're in a social situation and someone walks in that is violating the social norms of the fashion at wherever you are, right? Maybe even like it's someone in a kilt, or it's someone dressed totally punk rock, or just completely different than everyone else. The natural inclination was probably, if you were like us, to turn to your friends and be like, oh my gosh, that guy's weird. Did you see that weird outfit over there? Ooh, that's a lot. And go into instant judgment mode. Now, what does that do? It instantly bonds anybody who has also been thinking that. And now we have a little group bond. We have a little bit of in-group and out-group. We have a sense of belonging. And as human beings, that is one of our most deepest needs, is to feel belonged. And so this is judging others, and is a really fast and easy path to bond with others. And if we don't become conscious of it, we can do that our whole lives.
Once we recognized that being judgmental was a bonding agent from a social perspective, we started to see how much we were leaning on this unhealthy resource for creating social bonds with our friendships, with new networking opportunities and things of that nature. And frankly, once we kind of came onto this, we were like, I started to get so cringe just about the level of crap talking we had done. And then to hear ourselves sometimes go down the judgmental aisle of between the sisters on someone else or a certain situation, and just not feel good after that. So we had this habit that was starting to permeate into and causing real dissonance in between who we thought ourselves to be and who we were acting as.
You've probably heard us talk before about that inner roommate of yours that's got a voice. Sometimes it's an inner critic, sometimes it's an inner cheerleader, sometimes it's an inner Zen monk, and sometimes it is an inner judgmental bee. And that that doesn't mean that that has to be you or that you have to vocalize it. And so realizing that it doesn't mean we've gotten completely rid of any judgmental thoughts ever, but it means that we're not buying into them. And we're certainly not going to vocalize them unless we can find a way to see construction in it and the ability to have a positive outcome. Ooh, what did Megan teach us recently?
Oh, if you can't fix it in 5 seconds, don't say anything at all.
Right? If you're like, oh my gosh, that is a terrible pair of pants. Like, first of all, why would you say that to someone? But if you were, they can't go fix that in 5 seconds. But if they have a booger on their face, that is something they can fix. So just a fun etiquette side pro tip there for you.
Yes. Well, I love it. And thank you, Megan. That was so good. I've actually taught that now to basically anyone with ears who will listen, because it is just such a great thing to do to help keep you out of that judgment zone. Now, this is not something that we were very conscious of, and I want you to be aware, because again, we thought of ourselves as loving, compassionate people.
Awesome.
And there are lots of people in our lives when this habit was at play who would tell you that we're loving, compassionate people who are kind and accepting, but we were doing it too much for our own selves. And so we had to make that change. We discovered that the root was the habit of relying on the negative tool of judgment for social connection. Once we uprooted that particular habit, it had a windfall into multiple areas of our life, improving our relationship with each other, creating more positive thinking structures for ourselves, and creating more positive experiences in general, because our emotional state no longer gets hijacked by people surging forward on the plane.
Oh, I feel better after this confessional, part 1 and 2.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers, and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.